Well, hello everyone and welcome once again to our weekly 100% free and live Formula for Success training. And it's a pleasure as always to get on here and be able to help those of you who've taken time out of your busy schedules to attend. And as always, I'd like to congratulate you on the fact that you have taken action. You've taken action to come on to this training and take this opportunity so that you can improve your lifestyle, whether that be you're looking to improve your relationships, your professional life, your wealth, maybe it's your health. Maybe it's a mixture of all of it, but basically you're on this training so that you can help to improve your lifestyle to create a fun, fulfilling, vibrant and successful life. And I love to see so many of you coming on each and every week, but also it's great to see the new people coming on too, see our community growing and growing. And as always, I can see some new names on our show today. So I'm delighted that today we have a very, very special guest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the order of the Oscar for success, the Oscar for life, Declan Loy. Declan Loy is an author, speaker, coach and entrepreneur. He's the co-director of High Achievers Academy with Stephen McGowan, and together they host seminars and workshops throughout Europe on personal growth and business development. He has shared the stage with world leaders such as Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, John Assaraf and Michael Beckwith in front of audiences of over 1,000 people. Over the last few years, he has spoken to over 5,000 business owners. Brian Tracy has quoted Declan as his #1 European coach. He is the author of The Oscar for Life. Declan has various careers in construction, retail, franchising, training and coaching. As sales director of one of Europe's largest companies in Ireland, he helped to grow sales to €37.4 million. He has travelled the world training in the areas of human performance and has been trained by Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor. He holds qualifications in personal, business and executive coaching, Master of NLP and Analytically Psychotherapy. Declan is passionate about helping people and organizations discover a power which lies within them as individuals, which when activated is the most powerful force on the planet. Here's a quote from Declan. The innovative organizations need to start to bring more of the potential of the person into the organization. They need to help the person achieve their dream through the organization. We need to stop competing on the competitive plane of existence. There is no competition. When we can understand this, business and life takes on new meaning and results. His vision is to help millions of people worldwide to reach their full potential and achieve fulfilment in the process. Declan Loy lives in Ireland with his wife Karen and 3 children. His family gives his life meaning and he believes family is at the heart of fulfilment in life. So you can see Declan is a guy of massive, massive integrity, massive passion, massive enthusiasm, and he has helped people all over the world, and it is my pleasure to have Declan Loy as our special guest. Declan, can you hear me okay?
I can, Dave. Dave, thank you for inviting me on this evening, and congratulations on the reading. You've got half the presentation done there already, Dave. So well done at getting through that. I remember a scene of standing at the edge of a cliff after that one. So it's great to be on this evening, Dave. So thank you.
Well, great to have you on, and you've done a lot, and this is why you have inspired so many people over your career, and so many people all over the world, and this is why it's a pleasure for me to have you on. Again, I love having people who I can relate to, and people who are passionate and genuine, and you tick all the boxes. So what I'm going to do, Declan, I'm just going to make you presenter now. So you should see a message coming up on your screen. Allow you be presenter. Accept that.
Okay.
Great, we can see your slides. Perfect. So just everyone, just before Declan goes ahead with his presentation, it is so important that you pay attention. Turn off all distractions. Turn off your Facebook, turn off Skype, turn off your phone. Have pen and paper, take notes. I'm going to be watching the chat box, the question box. So if you're new to this, there'll be an audio tab and there'll be a question or chat box. Type any questions you have in there. I'll be there to answer them, plus also at the end we're going to have a dedicated Q&A. Also throughout, we appreciate your feedback. Let us know what your feelings about the presentation Declan is giving, what you're enjoying, and as I said, questions. Okay, so over to you, Declan. I'm looking forward to learning something myself as well and enjoying this great presentation.
Great. Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you everybody for coming along. At 10 o'clock at night, that shows definitely that you're 100% dedicated and committed to learning something new. So, and I don't know what you're looking to get from this evening's presentation, but if you were like me at one stage, sort of the two questions that burned in my mind, and one of the biggest questions was you know, surely there has to be an easier way to get results. Surely there has to be an easier way to have it all, the success, the achievement, the health, and the wealth, but still be there for the most important people in your life, which to me is my family. And that question is one of the questions that is really answered within the book, The Oscar for Life. And there's another question which I'll share later on with you as well. And really, I suppose to begin with, to begin with, what are we going to do? Really, what I'd like to say, put it in this way. In all of the time, and since this last 9 years, what I've discovered is it's been a series of insights that have enabled me. Number one is to get this book out into the market, but number two is to achieve certain things. And in working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business owners, you know, what we've discovered is there's certain key things that they do that helps them to get results. And this evening what I'm going to do is present those key things to you, and they're going to come in the form of insights. And you know, what is an insight? Well, if you imagine, you know, at one stage, an insight is the capacity to gain an accurate and deep understanding of someone or something. Here's an insight, very simply. And throughout this presentation this evening, you may get a series of insights, and they'll come at the most unlikely times, or maybe the most likely times. And really what an insight to me in very simple ways is, it's in a moment in time when everything just changes. And it changes at an unconscious level without you having to think about it. It's like going into a dark room, and the room is dark and you can't see the wood from the trees, sort of saying. And then all of a sudden an insight is when the light comes on and you can see things. And you can see things that you've never seen before. There are ahas type moments. And throughout the course of the presentation, my hope for you is that you begin to get those insights in this presentation. And one insight, which we'll get this evening, could absolutely transform your life. And I'm going to share some of the key insights, certainly, that have transformed the way I think about things and the way I do things throughout my life. And really it boils down to what we're really talking about here this evening is, you know, it's that we have limitless potential. We have this body, we have a mind, we have the very thing that keeps us alive, keeps our heart beating, which is their energy. Some people call it spirit, soul, whatever. We have this vehicle. And the greatest capacity is to get more out of ourselves. And we really have limitless potential. And these insights, which I'm going to share with you now shortly, is really about you beginning to get more out of it. So what is the Oscar for life? Really what it is we are all simply the actors, producers, and directors, and add one more thing into that, the script writers of our own life. Now, if you had said that to me at one stage, which a lot of people did say to me, they said to me, Declan, you have so much potential. If you begin to use and understand and use more of your mind, etc., you could achieve so much more. And if people said that to me, which they did do, I used to turn around and say, I've never heard a bigger load of rubbish in all my life. What are you on about? I don't need to know how to get more out of myself. I'm doing pretty well as it is. I was working 12, 13-hour days. I was young. I was getting on well. I believe the secret to success was to work hard, and maybe that's true, but in a different type of way. But to work hard, and while I was doing one thing, I'd be thinking of the next 5 things to do. And it'd be just go, 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 go. Make things happen, drive things, push things. And people would say to me, if you could just begin to learn how to use more of your mind, you could achieve so much more. And I says, well, I'm sort of doing okay without that. Why do I need it? And at that stage, I wasn't ready for waking up. And a couple of years went by and I still was just plodding ahead. You know, when I was younger, I would have worked 5 jobs at the same time. I would have done, you know, working in the nightclub, working in the supermarket, doing a window cleaning round, selling sticks, selling newspapers, really, really working hard. And then one point it got to the point where I remember one day it came to me, and you know, our young family came along. First child came along, Jenna, and then Cian came along a year to the date. And really at that point, that's when I began to get my first insight. And it came one evening, and funny enough, it came when I was sitting looking at a laptop just the same way I am this evening. But the insight, I was sitting in the house at home in Drogheda. We were working on a multi-million euro contract in Dublin, and I had plans everywhere, the laptop sitting. I was after a 12-hour day, come home, eat my dinner, and there was a problem. And of course, when there was problems needed to be solved, the person to solve the problems was Declan. And I was sitting working away, and as I was sitting there, my mother-in-law was sitting to the left-hand side, and she was nursing one of the children, Jenna. And out of the corner of my eye, Jenna was crying quite hard, and Katrina was nursing her, and I was going, and I just sat at the laptop, and something registered just at that moment, but it didn't fully click in right away, but it registered, and I caught this image out of the corner of my eye, and then I kept working and ignored it. And the next day I went in to Dublin, sorted the problems out in the contract, came back to the office and sat down at the desk. And it was really beginning to happen then. And I sat at the desk, nice trendy Danish desk, and I was looking out over Walkinstown Avenue. The traffic was busy, it was early morning, and one of my colleagues comes in, he sits in front of the desk, down in front of the desk, and he turns around and he says, "Well, Dec, how's things?" And at that moment, time just seemed to stand still, and the only way I could describe it was, and I describe it like this in the book, it was like a lump of 4x2 timber, and somebody hit me in the side of the head with it, and I woke up just at that moment. And all of a sudden, the image from the night before flashed into my mind, where I wasn't there for my little girl crying, and I put my head down. Tears came to my eyes, and I could feel the emotion, and I said, "Oh, surely there has to be an easier way than this. There has to be an easier way to get to success, to achieve. There has to be an easier way to have it all, to be healthy, fit, strong, wealthy, but to be there for the most important people, which was in my life, which was my family." And when I asked that question, a doorway opened up, and when that doorway opened up, it sent me traveling the world and training with some of the top people in the world that you mentioned earlier, Dave, and really investing, you know, quite huge sums of money in that over this last 9 years. But I did it to discover, because I got passionate about this. What is it that really, really can make a difference and get the more out of ourselves? And this is what I'm going to share with you this evening. And it came to me in a series of insights. When I asked that question, here's one of the key things. Write this down. The questions you ask yourself dictate the quality of your life. The questions we ask ourselves. So if you ask an effective question, you get an effective answer of a person externally, but equally so, it's true of you too. Whatever questions you ask of yourself, your unconscious mind will all answer. So if you ask questions such as, "Why does that always happen to me?" Your unconscious mind will turn around and say to you, "Because you are a X, because you are a Y." Or simply ask another question is, how can I achieve this? How can I achieve this? How can I achieve this in the fastest, quickest, easiest? Surely there has to be an easier way to achieve than this. As soon as you ask the effective questions, you'll get effective answers. They came to me in a series of insights, and the very first insight that I got, and this had massive, and this is so simple now, in a moment when you see it, you're going to go, what? What are you on about, Declan? But it came like this, And it was very simply one insight. What you focus your attention on, you will get more of. What you focus your attention on, you get more of. And you're sitting there saying, well, that's not rocket science. But at one stage, when I was sitting in the front row of an event, a seminar, and I heard that what you focus your mind on, you get more of. What you focus your attention on, you get more of. Straight away, it was like I was sleeping beforehand, and don't want. I knew very clearly what I didn't want, and I was very focused on what I didn't want. I wanted that person to do their work. I wanted to achieve more. I wanted less stress, pressure, worry, all of those things. And I knew very clearly what I didn't want, but I never really thought. I was just busy getting on with things and making things happen. I never really sat down and said, what is the make of car I want? What is the model of car? What's the size of the engine? What finish do I want in the car? What colour do I want in the car? Do I want petrol or diesel? I never really stopped to think into the results that I wanted. And these results would turn up. I'd have great success, but it would come at a cost of working long hours, putting on lots of weight, being unhealthy. And I says, what do I want? And all I have to do is simply write down the specifications of what I want. So what I did, I began to waken up and very simply say, I can choose what to focus on. And with that came freedom. I had the freedom to simply choose. And with that came self-awareness, imagination. So I just simply, and this is very simple, this is not rocket science, I decided, well, I'm not going to focus on what I don't want anymore. And in order not to focus on what I don't want, all I have to do is decide what I do want. I took out a piece of paper, very simply, and I just started. And even you could do this as I'm speaking now. I started at the top of the piece of paper. What do I want? What do I want in my life? I want to be home at 5:30 every day. I want to spend more time playing with the kids. I want my relationship to be really strong with my wife. I want to be healthy, fit and strong. I want to, that particular year that I set all these goals, I set an income goal, a high six-figure income goal, and that was a big goal in that particular year for me. I set that, and then I set sales target goal of 37 million, to own a holiday home in Spain, to own other investment properties. I wrote every single thing down that I wanted. And I've just decided to single-mindedly focus on that. And there's techniques that you can simply use to focus your mind, which I'm going to share more of in this presentation as well. But that was step one for me that came in a very simple, just deciding what to focus on. And then insight number two came to me. Listen to this. What the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. So the majority of people, it's said that we are 95% unconscious. Sigmund Freud said that we are mere puppets to our unconscious mind. So it's been proven by science that we have a conscious mind and we have an unconscious mind. And also behind that, we would have a superconscious mind. So consciously, the majority of people are, when they decide what they want, they're very clear about what they want, because a lot of people are great dreamers and they write out the list of what they want, and they consciously decide what they want. So if you can conceive an idea, you can achieve it. But a lot of people, what happens to a lot of people is they're in a boat and they pick the destination of where they're going to sail to, and they start paddling the boat in the water. And they seem to be going backwards, not forward. But what they forget is that the current of the water is going in the opposite direction. Below the surface is so strong it's pulling them backwards. And what is that current? The current is the programs that's stored within our unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind stores our habits, our beliefs, our values, our educations, our experiences. Within our unconscious mind controls 95% of our life. 95% of our life. And until we learn to tap into that and use that as a resource that will direct ourselves, it'll control us, just like the boat on top of the water, the current underneath, which is the unconscious forces, can hold us back. So stored within our unconscious mind is all of these maps for how we go round in the world. So we have a map for how we do our career, our business. We have a map for our health. We have a map for our relationships. We have a map for wealth. We have a map for all these different areas of our lives. And how you know whether your map is a good and resourceful map or not is you simply take each area of your life and say, is my business working out at the minute? Is it going forward? Is it moving forward? No. If it's no, then you have to say, well, do I have the most appropriate map? And if you don't have the most appropriate map, you go and find it. Well, here's one of the things that you can do to get to program your unconscious mind. You can start to think backwards, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So a lot of people consciously believe that they can achieve things, but yet their unconscious mind is turning around and going, no, you're not. No, that's rubbish. That's bullshit. You never achieved that. What do you mean? And they're laughing, and your unconscious mind is working in the opposite direction. So what we have to do is get the unconscious mind to believe without any inner doubt. Without any inner doubt. Step one in the achievement of everything is get a clear, invincible vision for what you want. So crystal clear that you can see it in your mind's eye. Step two is to decide consciously, and then it's to focus your unconscious mind single-mindedly on that picture. And what happens is, as you do that, and I'm going to go into this more in a minute, it drops from your conscious mind down into your unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind now begins to believe that you can achieve all of your dreams. And that's insight number two, belief. It's not enough to consciously believe it. We need to unconsciously believe it so that the boat and the tide is going in the same direction. Insight number three, Cam, is we have the ability to program our minds, whether we realize that or not. Now, here's the simple thing. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago. There was a $1 billion business owner at it, and he says to me, here is simple steps you can take to achieve. And he said, step one is accept now that you have an unconscious mind and that our unconscious mind is programmed. How do we know that our unconscious mind can be programmed? It's very simple. At one stage, a lot of us didn't know how to drive a car, and then we learned how to drive a car. And eventually it becomes unconscious that we don't even think about driving the car, we just drive the car. And we're having a coffee, drinking the coffee while we're driving the car, whilst we're on the phone at the same time. I know none of you on this line ever do that. But this can happen where we're doing all these things in the cars, we're driving the car unconsciously. So our unconscious mind can be programmed, and it can be programmed, and there's two sides to that. There's a lot of positive programs that's stored in our unconscious mind, but unfortunately there's a lot of programs which hold us back that's stored within our unconscious mind. And those are programs of inferiority, programs of fear, programs of lack of self-doubt, or belief in yourself, programs where maybe over the years you might have heard from teacher or friends or colleagues, you can't do that, don't do that, no, that won't work. And you hear all these programs, and they get stored in your unconscious mind. So what we need to do is we need to program our unconscious minds single-mindedly with the end outcome of what we want. When we do that, our desires drop from conscious into the unconscious. Our unconscious mind is filled up with this end outcome, which I'm going to show you how to do now in a moment. And when you get the two of those working together, then you're congruent, you're one directional. You accept step one, as the $1 billion business owner said, that you have an unconscious mind, that your unconscious mind can be programmed. Step two, have a clear, invincible vision. Clear, invincible vision. Step three, begin to think backwards. Focus on the end outcome, and we'll look at that in a moment, through the process of repetition. And as you do that, your goals start to drop from your conscious mind down into your unconscious mind. You become congruent, you start to move forward. And as that happens, then they drop down into your superconscious, and then your single-mindedly, mind, body, and soul is congruent. So we can imprint the goals. So when we have a clear goal of what we want it is to achieve, all we have to do is start to think backwards. How do we think backwards? We project forward, and we, like even here at the moment, if you're sitting there listening now, you could just take a moment and just stop everything and just drop everything. And just for a moment, just take a simple deep breath in and breathe out. And then just for a moment, I want you to imagine that you're now 5 years forward. 5 years forward. And you're now 5 years forward, and your life and your business and your career is perfect in every way. What would that look like if it was perfect in every way? What would it look like? What would you see? Imagine it's like a movie screen. Your life's like a movie screen. And what would you see in that movie? What would your business be like? What would your career be like? What would your finances be like? What would your health be like? How would you look? Every single area. And as you begin to do that and think backwards, you begin to create. You're like an architect who's creating the design of the building in his mind. Then he creates it on a drawing, and then he gives that drawing to the builder to construct it. So it's all done. You're deciding the specifications of the model of the car that you want, which the model of the car being your life, every area of your life, and you're saying, this is what I want. So what you're not saying is, I want a hugely, massively successful business, and then you get this massively successful business, and every other aspect of your life is a complete mess. You're unhealthy, you're unfit, your relationships are falling apart, you're stressed and pressured. What you're saying is, I want an incredibly successful business or career. I want the wealth to go with it. I want the happiness to go with it. I want the fulfillment to go with it. I want the joy to go with it. I want the relationships to go with it. I want the health to go with it. I want the wealth to go with it. So every single specification, you're speccing out the model of the car that you want. As you're thinking now, thinking backwards, so you project forward, what would you see when you've achieved it? What would you hear when you've achieved it? But more importantly, if you'd achieved everything, that you'd want to achieve in your life, and you know you deserve to, how would you feel? How would you feel when you would have achieved everything? How would you physically feel? But more importantly, how would you emotionally feel? Would you be excited? Would you be jumping up for joy? And you simply begin to run these little movies, which is the goals and the outcomes that you want. Run them in your mind, and you run them over and over and over and over. And here's the key, here's the secret. Listen to this now. This is where the majority of people go wrong. You need to write this down right now. Very simply put, it's not enough to do it once. Doing it once is daydreaming. Constantly repeat it. Last thing before you go to sleep at night, run that movie in your mind. Imagine your life the way you want it. Imagine your business the way you want it. Imagine your finance. First thing when you're waking in the morning, run it in your mind. And if you get it throughout the day, run it in your mind. This billion-dollar business owner, he said to me, he does it 2-3 times a day, constantly running the program in his mind, constantly taking different parts of it. And he's doing it because it's repetition is the key to getting these goals passed down into our unconscious mind. Because we have a lot of less than resourceful stuff stored in our unconscious mind that can sabotage and self-sabotage us. I don't know whether anybody's ever experienced that before, but if we want to get over that, what we need to do is get that clear, invincible vision and focus your mind single-mindedly on the end outcome. Project forward, think backwards. And as you do that through repetition, repetition is the key. Over and over and over again. Last thing before you go to sleep at night. First thing when you wake in the morning. Constantly. You're just getting constantly focused on all of the things. And as you're doing that, it's very simply put, you're giving the full attention of your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is becoming incongruent in the end outcome, filling up with the end outcome. And single-mindedly, your whole being is moving in one direction. So the key is focused attention is the key. And the key with that is repetition, repetition, repetition. It's the number one skill is to repeat it day, night, day, night. Dream about it, think about it, express it, talk about it, get into the feelings of it, but more importantly, be very clear that you can see that end outcome. And as you see it, you're like an architect creating it, you draw it out, write out the specifications on a piece of paper. Sit down with your partner and write it out as well. And as you do that, expressing paper, it becomes real, and more and more you do that, the more easier you will move forward. Now you can do it the way that I used to do it, and the way that I used to do it was like a bulldozer, and bulldozing and make things happen. But I'm telling you, it's not somewhere you want to be, because it's a recipe for disaster. But it's to get into, because there's a lot of effort associated with it. So to get into effortless flow, you need to get your unconscious mind single-mindedly working for you. And here's the single most important thing. It's how we feel is the most important thing. So it's when we clear about what we want, write that down. When we write down in the version of goals, when we think backwards, we project forward to the end outcome and write out a movie script of what the end outcome would be like. What would you see, hear, feel, smell, taste when you've achieved that outcome? And you have that script written out, and then you gain the attention of your unconscious mind through taking time out, meditating, relaxing, and focusing on your end outcome through what you would see, hear, feel, smell, taste, running through your senses. That begins to drop down into your unconscious mind, and you planted the seeds in the soil in your garden. Now, what we need to do is we need to constantly water those seeds, and one of the ways to do that is the better we feel, the more likely we will move forward. So managing our state is one of the most important things, and there's 3 things that we can do to manage our state. Number 1 is assume a great physiology. So if you're just simply sitting there now, one of the simple things that you can do to click into a more resourceful state now is take a big deep breath in through your nose and breathe out 3 times. And as you just simply do that, your state changes in an instant. One of the things you can do is just simply stand up where you are and shake yourself. Put your shoulders back, chest out, and breathe deep. And as soon as you do that, your state begins to change in an instant. Don't care who you are, your state changes in an instant. And so physiology is one of the things you can do to change your state. We do lots of this type of stuff on on the seminars and workshops and different things that we do. I'm giving you a very fast whistle-stop tour here on it. Then the language that we have affects our state as well. If we use language such as, why does it always happen to me? Why am I not moving forward? Jeez, if you just do what I want them to do. Or if you lose more resourceful, I know there's an answer. I know there's a question that I need to ask, and when I find that question, everything will change. I am moving forward. I can do this. I can make this happen. When you start to use resourceful language, you start to change your physiology, you start to change your state, and you begin to move forward. So it's to begin to change our language, and ultimately is what we focus on. Just like I said a moment ago, what we need to do is begin to focus on what we want. Last thing before you go to sleep at night, first thing in the morning, you begin to dream about that car. What is exactly, if you go into a car dealer and you turn around and say to the car dealer, you say, give us a car there, mate, will you? And he says, oh, I've got the perfect car for you. Here you go. And you look at the car and you go, oh, I didn't want that car. That's a crock, that's a banger. Will you ask me for a car? There's a car. Well, I don't want that car. I don't want the 20-year-old car. Give me a 3-year-old car. Okay, there's your 3-year-old car. Well, I don't want that car. Oh, I want a BMW 5 Series. Here's the BMW 5 Series. Well, I didn't want that colour. Well, you didn't ask me for what you want. So it's like one time there was this farmer, and he was in the field, you know, and he grew this beautiful crop in the field, and there was this preacher coming down the road one day. It was a country road, and the preacher was full of all the happiness and joys of. And he turns around and he goes to the farmer. He says, hello, farmer there. It's a wonderful day, isn't it? And the farmer says, it surely is, Mr. Preacher. And the preacher was saying, oh, look at that bountiful harvest you have. Isn't God a great God? And the farmer says, God surely is a great God. I says, doesn't he do wonderful things? The preacher says, he surely does. And the farmer turned round and said to the preacher, you want to see that field before I got my hands on it. So sometimes we need to help out in the process. We need to ask in clear, specific detail for exactly what we want, so that when the car turns up, it's the right spec and model, and it's the same in every area. So state is the most important thing, and some of the things that we can do to change your state, exercise changes our state, eating healthy, drinking water, going for walks changes our physical state. Changing our mental state is relaxation, is using focus techniques to program your mind, and we do a lot of these at different events that we do as well. And emotional mind is state management and memory management and success memories, remembering the things that it is great about the successes you've achieved in the past. And then spiritual is through self-awareness, through trust, faith, and being in the moment and being in the now. Now, those are the simple tools, and the Oscar for Life, the book, goes through all of these tools and in showing you. The Oscar is written in a novel. It's a novel, and it's about a character called Ethan. There might be some similarities in the character of Ethan and myself, but it's about two things. If you were to put it into two words, you'd put it into these two words. It's about the science of achievement, and it's about the art of fulfillment. Because you can have the two of them together, or you can have the two of them separate. And for me, once I wrote all of those goals down in that 12-month period that I shared with you earlier, the most magical thing happened, and that's why I'm talking to you this evening. And the magical thing that happened is everything that I just shared with you there, I used it over that 12-month period. And at the end of that 12-month period, I sat down, and every single goal that I had written down, I had achieved bar one. I had the holiday home at the properties. I was home at 5 o'clock in the day. I was with the family. I was with the kids. I was healthy, fit, strong, wonderful relationship. Everything was. And then there was just one goal that we didn't achieve exactly, because we set a goal to achieve the sales of 37 million, but we didn't achieve 37. We got 37.4. And as soon as that happened, I says, the world needs to know about this. But I also went on, and I'm an inquisitive type person. I always ask questions, and the second question that I asked was, surely there has to be more than just achievement. Maybe it was the overachiever in me, but surely there has to be more than just achievement. And that brought me on a different journey, and it brought me on a journey to write the book, which is the Oscar for Life. And within that book, there's some key secret ingredients which I discovered after spending 3 weeks in Thailand. And there's a key thing that I discovered in that book, and which the book is about, that there is a bountiful foot of treasure to be found, and it is found in the most unlikeliest of places. And when you discover that, you will be amazed at it. And here's the thing. If you want to know where that treasure lies, if you want to discover what that treasure is about, then what you need to do is read the Oscar for Life and give us some comments on Facebook. Have to love getting that in. But one of the key things, and I'm going to share a little video here with you if I can, because the second part of the journey and the art of fulfillment is really about a lot of the time we can do things from two places. We can achieve our goals with lots of effort and struggle, or we can achieve our goals effortless. And when you say that to people, you need to start to live more effortlessly. A lot of people think that they need to put their feet up and relax and do nothing, but in actual fact it's not the case. Yes, you're busy doing stuff, but you're doing it in an effortless way. And one of the key ways to do that is really just to begin to get into the power of the moment, living in this moment now. And the secret to getting more done and achieving more is really to do nothing. what? Do nothing. But what you're doing is you're doing lots of things, but in an effortless way. And what can happen is a doorway can open up. And the only way I can describe that doorway is by playing this short video. Hopefully you can see it here. By playing this short video for you. I want you to really watch this, because when you use all of the things that certainly you talk about in the Oscar for Life, this is what can happen, and it certainly is what happened for me in my life. I'll just play it now. Oh, hello.
You out of your mind too, Dan. What is that you do? Some kind of martial arts move? See you coming. You weren't paying attention. Even though you're not. Your mind's filling up again. Missing out on everything that's going on. There's nothing going on. Until we know more about Kyle, we need the horse covered. So, anybody wants a shot at it, gets a shot. Where's Millman? man up. You're up? You know, superstitious coach. Gotta go last. I'll go. All right. Where the hell did that come from?
And when we start to really begin to live in the moment, live in the now, we will start to be amazed at what we can achieve. Because when you decide what it is that you want, when you simply write it down in clear detail, ask for the specifications of that car, begin to get your vision developed clearly, begin to use that power that is within our unconscious mind, begin to focus on that end outcome. We think backwards instead of forwards. We project forward, that we are the actors, producers, directors and script writers of. When we start to develop that and start to focus on it, last thing before we go to sleep at night, first thing when we waken in the morning, when it begins to drop down into your unconscious mind and your full being becomes fully congruent, single-mindedly in the direction, then the only thing that we have to do is feel good each and every day. And the way we feel good is simply by changing our physiology, changing our language, focusing on what we want. And the more and more we do that, then what we have to just simply do is to relax, be in the moment, be in the now, which gets us into the zone, into the groove. It's to take out that trash. And the way to do that is to simply just be present in the here and now, seeing what you can see, hearing what you can hear, and feeling what you can feel. And when we do that, we start to move forward. We start to achieve our dreams and goals much more effortlessly, much more easy. We become more aware. And as we become more aware, that is where we ultimately discover where paradise lies. And where paradise lies is not in the external world. Paradise lies within each and every single one of us. And when we achieve that, what we then do is we become focused, and we can stand back and say, yeah, that was an award-winning performance I gave there. So I hope you've got a lot from the presentation this evening. If you'd like to find out some more, you can, I think Dave is going to share the link with the where you can go to get the book. It's the highachieversacademy.com/the Oscar for Life. Dave will share that with you. That's our phone number if you want to contact, and my email address there as well. I hope you got a lot from it. And Dave, if I'll now hand it back over to you.
Declan, fantastic presentation. Absolutely brilliant. I have put the link there into your chat box, guys. So go check your chat box, your question box, click the link, go grab your copy of The Oscar for Life. You've, over the last 45 minutes, have got a bit of an insight into what you can get from just reading this book, and you can see, again, the power of the information that Declan teaches. Declan, that was an awesome presentation. I know for sure there's going to be people on this call who are going to find it pretty hard to sleep tonight because their minds are going to be racing, their ideas are going to be racing. You're going to have ignited a lot of, belief in the dreams that I suppose have lain dormant for many people over a number of years. And that's the power, again, the information that you share. And there's been lots of great comments coming in about, the presentation, what it's done from the great information. There's one particular one I want to read out for you, which is really nice. Declan, you have won your own Oscar. Amazing mind, brilliant. Declan, I love to listen to you. You're an amazing person. Just thought I'd read that out to you because there's a really nice comment that was put in from Sandra in Dublin, actually.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
So great stuff, guys. Any questions, further feedback? Just put them into the question box for us. And as I said, check your chat box. Click the link to go grab your copy of The Oscar for Life. So just see if there's any further questions, Declan. And Declan, as well, while we're just waiting, why not tell people about some of the upcoming events that you're holding yourselves with High Achievers Academy?
Yeah, we have on the 30th and the 31st of January, we have got an event in Dublin, which is filling up quite quickly. It's called the Inner Game. The inner game of achievement in business, and that event is really about talking about some of the stuff that's in the book as well, and some of the stuff that we've gone through here this evening, going into that in more detail and going into the techniques as well. So that's coming up on the 30th and 31st. We also have at the 1st of March in Dublin, we have got an event with Keith Cunningham, who is Tony Robbins' #1 business mastery and wealth mastery teacher, and he's actually known as Rich Dad. He was the guy that taught Robert Kiyosaki, so he's the Rich Dad character in the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he's coming to Dublin as well, and Stephen and myself will be up there with Keith as well at that event. And then later on we also have in April we have Ignite Your Ultimate Power, and that in that seminar we'll be going through a lot of the stuff that I spoke about this evening in more detail. We'll be doing the techniques, and really that video, at that particular seminar, really that video that you've seen, to experience what it's like when you do empty your mind, really that video is the closest thing that I can use to describe it really happens when you empty your mind, because that happens to you. So on that event we'll be going into that in more detail as well. You can go along to the highachieversacademy.com. We've loads of free ebooks, free videos, content, etc. there, so there's great resources in there as well.
Brilliant, Declan. I just reposted that link again. Anyone who hasn't jumped on board to grab your copy, go order it. And just in terms of, like with the High Achievers Academy and the work that Declan and Stephen do, it is truly incredible. It's truly life-changing. I've attended many of their events over the years, and attended one they had recently in London. And the Keith Cunningham one is in London on 28th of February. Declan, is that right?
That's right, sorry, yes, 28th of February in London as well, yes.
So I'll be at that one myself, so it'd be great to meet some of you guys as well if you decide to go. Remember, it's like you've been on this call, the key thing about taking your life forward is investing in yourself. And it's like being on this call, buying Declan's book, investing in going on workshop days like these ones that Declan have outlined. Keep investing in you, because that is the only way to keep moving yourself forward. Declan, the comments are coming in thick and fast in terms of just feedback and how great it's been and how much you've got from it. Let me see what else we got here. Anyone listening to this anyone listening to this in the mid-Ulster area can come and hear Declan speak at the Rise and Shine event. It's in the Courtyard, Cookstown, on Tuesday the 27th at 7:15. So that's Tuesday 27th, 7:15 in the courtyard Cookstown. It's another event.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing you guys down there next Tuesday.
Brilliant. So you see the feedback. Anyone that's new to Declan, you can see the kind of feedback that's coming in from people who are aware of him, people who've only had a little bit of experience, and even from people who this is their first exposure. So Declan, that leaves me just to say, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man. You fit a lot in. You have great balance in your life too, the way you prioritize your family and yourself, and as well as impacting people all over the world and helping to change their lives and giving them the tools and strategies that will allow them to do so once they go and take action. I'm just really thankful for you to be on. Look forward to having you on again in the future, and look forward to seeing you in London at the end of February too for a Keith Cunningham event.
Great. Thank you, Dave, and appreciate the opportunity to do that and asking us to come on. You're doing great work. Keep it up, bye.
You bet. We should keep these things going. Keep impacting people's lives.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good evening.
So everyone who's on, again, thank you for being on. Congratulations again on investing in you. Make sure you keep doing it, and I look forward to speaking to you once again on our next Formula for Success training.